Hey, homeschoolers. I'm Melissa Webb, former full-time classroom teacher and homeschool mom turned full-time business CEO and encourager to homeschool families everywhere. I want to give you sound, educational, practical tips and advice at the same time making sure that you're enjoying the family journey that you are on. So if you are looking for a place to be encouraged and inspired, you have found the perfect podcast. Homeschooling is a work of heart is truly the perfect place to start. So welcome. Let's jump in. Well, hello, homeschoolers. I hope you are doing fantastic today. I am doing very well. I was actually walking through my kitchen into our garage. And if you were with me in my kitchen heading out to the garage, you would see a sign above the door that reads, "Because nice matters." Now, my friend Kelly made this sign for me 2 decades ago. I have never taken it down. I love the reminder that it is to me, of course, but also it's always been that reminder to our children and to all who enter and exit our home. And it was for a long time the answer to questions that the boys would ask, like, why do I have to empty the dishwasher? Or why do I have to take out the trash? Or why do I have to help you bring in all these heavy groceries? And I would get to a point where I could just point in the general direction of the sign. And they knew. Sometimes we have our children do things and we say, well, it's part of your responsibility. This is part of being a family. And while I am in complete agreement, I also think that it's very powerful to teach our children that sometimes we do things simply because it's just the nice thing to do. Helping others is a very nice thing to do. And I will say that our country is hurting in the way of humanity and niceness toward others. I consider myself to be fairly neutral when it comes to anything related to politics. I do my best to stay open minded and to understand why the right believes what they believe and the left believes what they believe. And while I do tilt toward the conservative side, pretty strong in the middle here, and I can hear both sides. And I get why some people like and dislike things on the right, and I understand why some people like and dislike things on the left. But what I cannot stand is when the leaders on either side of the parties are not nice, because nice matters. And I am heartbroken to see the hatred that one side of the aisle will spew toward the other side, because nice matters. And I watch this and I think, what are we teaching our children? What are we teaching them? Hopefully, not this that I'm seeing adults act and react in ways that are honestly embarrassing to me as an American and as an adult. Now, my guess is that you have chosen to homeschool for a variety of reasons. Probably education is at the top of your list, but I'm wondering what else is on your list. And I'm actually thinking about those families that may be brand new to homeschooling, or maybe you're considering homeschooling next year and you're starting to collect some information. So I'm going to give you a list of some of the reasons why we homeschooled and why I know a lot of families homeschool, but I want you to consider them for yourself. They're all great reasons and they all go beyond academic achievement. So I think we can agree academic achievement for sure, an important reason to homeschool, but there are many other reasons. So For us, one of the things I loved was homeschooling does give you this flexible schedule and lifestyle. I just held a class earlier this week, and one of our students, Mackenzie, was camping with her family. When she logged in to meet with us in our clubhouse meeting, she was clearly in a trailer. And that's not where I normally see her show up. And I said, "Wait, what is that skylight above you?" She was in the bunk bed part of their trailer. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we're camping right now." I love that. Isn't that fantastic? They were able to go away for 4 or 5 days at a time when nobody else is out there traveling. And because things are online now, which is a huge plus, and they had access to internet, she still came to class. There's no reason to say you don't have to do any school. You have this flexible schedule and lifestyle, and you can school where you want to school. I love that. Another reason why we homeschooled was to build stronger family bonds. We have to, as a country, go back to the basics. I believe this. Family is everything. Spending more quality time together is going to strengthen our relationships. I have spoken to enough of my friends who chose to put their children in the brick and mortar middle school that was filled with literally 2,000 students. And these moms would say, "I feel like I'm losing my child." I'll ask, "So what did you do today?" After being gone 8 hours. And they don't really want to talk to their parents, and their parents don't get them. And I mean, there's just this disconnect that I could see happening that I didn't want. And we didn't go down that road. Our boys were homeschooled through their middle school years. And it did provide more quality time together. And that was really important to us. I think another reason that people do love to homeschool is you can't customize your learning. You can tailor your lessons to fit the learning style of your child, maybe do things in the interest of your child. If your child just loves math and is excited to start the day with math, you can do that in a brick and mortar type learning environment. You just do what the teacher teaches. At home, you can customize so many things, even your pacing, right? You could work for an hour and a half in the morning, take a break for a couple hours, and work an hour and a half in the afternoon. There's a lot of opportunity to customize things to fit your family. I think a huge one right now, providing a safe environment. And I would even say maybe a nurturing environment and eliminating that concern for bullying or peer pressure or any of the school related stress or just things we're hearing about in the world that makes some schools feel very unsafe. And so providing that secure learning environment is a huge reason why I think many families choose to homeschool today. And I think it's a great one. Another one would be maybe for religious or moral instruction. If you want to incorporate faith-based or values-driven education that aligns to your beliefs, it's a great reason to homeschool. Many families start their day with learning a scripture, doing a Bible study, saying a verse together, praying as a family. Again, bringing back moral religious instruction and compass, which I think is fabulous. Another reason why people will choose is for maybe a child who has special needs or more individualized attention. In California, class sizes are huge. They're very large. Depending on elementary, middle school, and high school, you can have as many as up to 40 students in a class with one teacher. And so getting that one-on-one attention that's tailored to the child is difficult to do. Greatest teachers in the world. Some of my friends are the best teachers I've ever met, and it's impossible for them to be able to support all the students in a way that a parent can do when you are working at home. If you have a child who has learning differences, difficulties, disabilities, you as that parent teacher can provide the attention and tailor things to meet your child's needs. That's so important. Another reason is better socializing, I think. And so, again, if this is something that you're like, yep, you're nodding your head, that's another reason we did it. I'm hoping by sharing these, you're confirming to yourself why you're doing what you're doing, because I don't want you to stop. I do not want this to stop. I want more people to feel empowered and to remember why they're doing what they're doing, because it's not the easier option. Homeschooling is not the easier option. But for so many families, it's the better option. And socialization is one of those reasons. Now, this is going to feel controversial to all the myths that homeschoolers are weirdos and homeschoolers lack social skills. I have found that to be completely false. I mean, I'm sure there are those exceptions. There always are. However, the homeschoolers that I'm engaging with, oh my goodness, they're diverse social arenas through co-ops, sports activities, dancing, um, theater, community service projects, extracurricular activities. My goodness. And here's the thing, not only are they more socially mature than a lot of other students, they have an ability to interact with younger children, children their age, older children, and adults. It's very impressive. Another reason why I think homeschooling is fantastic would be the mental and emotional well-being that we can offer in our homes. Children's mental health is an issue these days. I'm not sure what's going on. I can't put my finger quite on it. But we have children today that are struggling with anxiety and depression and stress at very high levels. I see it mostly in traditional schooling environments, and that when families bring their children home, they're able to support their children in a better, healthier way because they can walk through this with them. They can talk them through. When you are a parent and you're able to correct your child when maybe something socially was happening and your child never said thank you, you would be, as a parent, very likely to say, hey, sweetheart, that person just did this kind thing. It would be appropriate for you to thank them. And then they do. And then you say, okay, hang on, we're going to practice that again. I want you to look in their eyes when you say thank you. You're able to instruct socially, but also mentally and emotionally. So when your child, and you can tell, right? As parents, we can tell, you can say, you appear to look as if you're feeling really tense right now. Talk to me. What's going on? Let's practice some breathing activities. I actually have a podcast on that. I'll have to look back and find out which one it is. I will link it in the show notes for you. But again, these are the things we can offer because nobody is going to love and care for your child the way that you are. This is amazing. And this, as a parent, is our job. We're moving into a new time in the world where we have the tools. We know so much about what to do and how to do it. We can educate our children. If you think about the history of how education started, you had parents who couldn't even read. So back in the day, they would hire somebody who could. Everybody would send their children there to be educated. And it made sense at the time. But now, for as well educated as we are, and as we can continue to be, because we can always be learning, we can now be the teacher that our children need. And as I was thinking about this week's topic, it really landed on the last and one of the most important reasons why we homeschooled, and that was character development. Homeschooling allows you to intentionally teach values that are going to matter as our children become the next generation of leaders. We can be spending time now practicing and teaching values like kindness toward all, respect toward everyone, empathy, responsibility. We can do this through daily interactions and through service opportunities. And by looking at what's happening in the world and showing a reaction like, that makes me sad to see that these are how adults are choosing to treat one another. And I hope so much that you are modeling kindness and not falling into this entrapment of you have to take a side and hate the other side. That is not the answer. That will never be the answer. It falls on families to raise compassionate, well-mannered, socialized children who treat others with dignity and respect. I have a business coach. I've mentioned her before. Her name's Jody Moore. And she shared this week a really beautiful example of what the world could or should maybe even look like. She had said that she'd been at a doctor's office and they had a new sign in put into the office, and they were just computers and scanners. So imagine this, you walk into the doctor's waiting room and it's just a room. There is no real person to help you. There's no receptionist to welcome you. There are just two computers and scanners. Well, she walked in, she signed herself in, she sat down, and she noticed an elderly couple that came in. The older gentleman was with his wife, who appeared to not be feeling well, and he had her sit down and he's looking around. He's very confused. He goes over and somebody kind of points and they say, "Oh, you sign in over there." So he goes over there. Again, no real person. I have an issue with this. No receptionist to welcome them. So he goes over and he's trying the new system. And he was visibly frustrated. And before Jody could even do a thing, a young man, she assumed he was in his 20s, walked up to this gentleman and he just said, "May I help you?" And the man was relieved and appreciative. And he's like, "Yes, please." So this younger guy signed him in and said, "May I have your insurance card? Let me scan it for you. Here, there's this little questionnaire. They have like 3 or 4 questions to ask you." And he's like, "Okay, sir, you're all set." Jody said that the relief on this elderly man was so visible. And it's like everyone in the room could feel it. Everyone in that waiting room could feel that. And the young man stayed there. As more people came in, if they looked confused, he helped 6 to 7 other people sign in. Eventually, he was called back to his appointment and he wasn't helping people. Why they didn't have somebody there to help, that's a whole other situation. But that is a beautiful example of humanity. Isn't it beautiful? Right? When we are looking at the world today, it is very clear to me that we cannot rely on politicians and leaders to demonstrate the importance of humanity. Nope, they have just gone off the deep end. So many of them just act and react in very ugly and unkind ways. They are unable and unwilling to find one common thread among us. We're humans. If nothing else, we're humans. And these are adults. We're Americans. There's nothing that anybody can find that connects us. It's heartbreaking. But that's okay because it is what it is. I stopped fighting reality a long time ago. And where I choose to focus instead is on the one person who makes a difference. And this younger man made a difference. He made a difference. And I will tell you, as she's telling the story, I could not help but I wonder if he was homeschooled. These are the kinds of acts of kindness that I see in my students who are homeschooled. In my classes, the first essay we write every semester is persuasive. It's an opinion piece. Students have to take a side, and they all disagree with one another. Half of them in the last assignment believe that screen time is a great use of time in a child's life. And they had lots of evidence and great reasons why they believed it. And the other half believed that screen time is more of a waste of time for children. And it's not how they should be spending their time. And they had great reasons. And we had wonderful discussions, and never once, not once, was anybody unkind to another person. They opened up, they listened, they said things like, "That's a really good reason. I understand why you believe what you believe. I believe this." And we were all still friends. It was amazing and beautiful. And I think we can learn from our children. And I think as parents, it's important for us to continue to model acts of kindness. Isn't that the world you want to live in? A world where people care, a world where they show up for one another in humane ways, and they do kind things just because nice matters. Let's do our best to model that. And if you have ways that you do this in your homeschooling world, I would love to learn from you. All right, everyone, go be nice. Right on. Well, thanks so much for tuning in and listening this week. Hey, if this was something that you found valuable, don't forget you want to subscribe or follow so that every time a new episode is dropped, you'll be the first to know. And hey, before you go, if you are looking to get some of this academic writing under your belt and outsourced so that it's one less thing freeing you up to enjoy more time with your family, hey, you're going to want to head over to writeonweb.com to see what kinds of resources and materials I have available for you. I will look forward to seeing you there, and I will look forward to seeing you here in our next episode. Right on.